Welcome to Bedtime Horror, your portal to scary stories. Man, I gotta share this freaky tale about me and my buddy, Steve, when we were on a road trip in his old Volvo. It all started with that damn car, stalling on us out in the middle of nowhere. We were cruising down this desolate road, nothing but fields and trees as far as the eye could see. The sun was set 10, casting eerie shadows on the empty road. Steve's Volvo, a rusty relic from the past, sputtered and died, leaving us stranded like a couple of idiots. We tried everything, but that old hunk o' junk just wouldn't start. Panic started creeping in, 'cause we had no cell service, and there wasn't a town in sight. We were stuck. With darkness closing in, we decided to walk in and find someplace to crash for the night. We stumbled upon this ancient farmhouse, way off the beaten path. It looked like it hadn't seen human life in ages. We pushed open the creaky wooden door, and inside, it was like time had stood still. Dusty old furniture covered in white sheets, cobwebs everywhere, and that old, musty smell hanging in the air. We knew we had no other choice, so we decided to spend the night there. We set up our sleeping bags in one of the dusty rooms, hoping to catch some shut-eye. But as the night wore on, strange things started happening. We heard these creepy, faint whispers, like voices carried on the wind. Steve and I just looked at each other, hearts pounding, 'cause we were sure we were the only ones there. Then, in the dead of night, came that eerie scratching sound, like something trying to claw its way out of the darkness. We grabbed our flashlights and headed outside. That's when we heard it, unmistakable and bone-chilling, footsteps echoing in the night. But when we shone our lights around, there was no one to be seen. We hurried back inside, barricading ourselves in the room, too scared to sleep. We didn't know what the hell was going on, but one thing was certain: this old farmhouse held secrets that were best left undisturbed. So, there we were, huddled in that dusty old room, our hearts racing, and our imaginations running wild. Those mysterious sounds kept coming, and we had no clue where they were coming from. Steve and I decided to investigate. We grabbed our flashlights and ventured down the creaky wooden stairs. The night outside was as black as pitch, and the farmhouse seemed to be holding its breath. We followed the eerie sounds, which led us to a weathered, rotting barn at the back of the property. The moment we stepped inside, a chill swept over us, and the air grew heavy with an oppressive tension. The dim light from our flashlights revealed rows of decaying wooden stalls, and the floor was covered in hay and dirt. We heard those whispers again, like the voices of the forgotten. The sound seemed to come from all around us, making our skin crawl. Steve and I exchanged nervous glances, but neither of us wanted to chicken out. We moved deeper into the barn, our flashlights darting around, trying to catch any movement. Suddenly, the scratching sound erupted, louder and more frantic than before, like something was trapped and desperate. We approached one of the stalls, and our flashlights revealed a pile of decaying straw. As we got closer, we saw a rat, its fur matted and diseased, scrabbling around in a frenzy. We let out a sigh of relief, thinking that must have been the source of the scratching. But then, a voice, soft and trembling, whispered from the shadows, "Help me." Steve and I froze, our blood running cold. The voice seemed to be coming from the stall next to the rat. We edged closer, our flashlights trembling in our hands. When we peered inside, our hearts damn near stopped. There, in the dim light, we saw a trap door, half covered by rotten straw. The voice came from beneath it, a voice that sounded like it belonged to someone trapped and terrified. Without thinking, we yanked the trap door open and shone our flashlights below. What we saw will haunt us till the end of our days. A narrow, dirt-covered tunnel led deeper underground, and there, at the bottom, was a small, makeshift chamber. And in that chamber, surrounded by flickering candles, lay a person, a woman, her clothes tattered, and her face twisted in agony. She begged us for help, her voice trembling and eyes filled with desperation. We didn't know what to do, but we couldn't leave her there. We climbed down into the chamber, and the moment our feet touched the dirt floor, the barn above us shook with a deafening crash. It felt like the whole world was closing in on us, and we were trapped underground with this mysterious woman. As we helped her to her feet, she whispered her name, a name that sent shivers down our spines. It was the name of a woman who had gone missing in these mountains years ago, a name that had become a ghost story told round campfires. The woman's eyes gleamed with an unnatural intensity as she told us, "You've awakened something that should have remained asleep. You can't leave now, it's already here." Before we could react, the chamber's candles flickered out, plunging us into darkness. The woman's eerie laughter echoed in the blackness, and then we felt it, the presence of something malevolent, something ancient and hungry, lurking in the shadows. I wish I could tell you we made it out of that farmhouse, but that's where my memory gets all hazy. All I remember is the sensation of being watched and the sound of scratching, whispering, and footsteps all around us. Somehow, we managed to escape that cursed place, but I can't explain how or when. To this day, Steve and I can't speak about that night without breaking into a cold sweat, 'cause we know we stumbled into something that defied all explanation, a horror that still haunts our nightmares. The old van I had purchased for a bargain was living up to its reputation. On the second day of my road trip, the engine coughed and sputtered, then died in the middle of nowhere. I had no choice but to pull over to the side of the deserted road, cursing my luck. I tried everything I knew to get it running again, but my mechanical skills were limited, and the van seemed to have chosen this desolate spot to breathe its last. Frustration welled up inside me as I realized I was stranded in the middle of nowhere, with no cell signal and no other vehicles in sight. An hour passed, and the sun dipped lower on the horizon, casting long shadows across the barren landscape. Just when despair began to creep in, a car appeared on the horizon, its headlights piercing the gathering darkness. Relief washed over me as I waved my arms, signaling for help. The car pulled up beside me, and the driver's window rolled down to reveal a middle-aged man with a disheveled appearance. He gave me a crooked smile that sent shivers down my spine. "Need a ride into town, miss?" he asked, his voice unnervingly soft. Hesitation gnawed at me, but I weighed my options. I was alone in the middle of nowhere, and the man was offering help. I decided to accept, albeit warily, and climbed into the passenger seat of his car. As we drove, the man engaged me in small talk, but his questions seemed oddly personal. He asked about my family, where I was headed, and if I was traveling alone. His eyes remained fixed on the road, never once meeting mine. Soon, he mentioned that he needed to make a quick stop at his house to pick up some things. My unease grew, but I reluctantly agreed, thinking it would be a brief detour. When we arrived at his house, I noticed the windows were shrouded in heavy curtains, and the place had an unsettling air of neglect. As I stepped inside, he locked the door behind me, a sickening click that echoed in the dimly lit hallway. He turned to me with a cold smile and said, "I just need to go down to the cellar for a moment. Make yourself at home." With that, he descended a creaking staircase, leaving me alone and trapped in the eerie silence of the house. Fear gripped me, and I knew I had to escape. I fumbled for the door and managed to unlock it just as he descended into the cellar. My heart pounded as I dashed out into the fading daylight, racing into the nearby forest. As I ran, I heard footsteps pursuing me, the man's voice echoing through the trees. But I didn't stop until I had put miles between us. It was only then, after what felt like an eternity, that I found a road and managed to flag down a passing car, driven by an elderly couple who would finally take me to the safety of the town. The elderly couple who had come to my rescue turned out to be a godsend. They were kind-hearted, offering a warm cup of tea and a sympathetic ear as I recounted my harrowing encounter with the strange man. They explained that this desolate stretch of road was known for its eerie tales and ghostly legends. Locals spoke of a reclusive recluse who lived in that rundown house, a man shrouded in mystery and whispered about in hushed tones. It seemed I had unwittingly stumbled into his web of darkness. The couple, who introduced themselves as Ed and Mary, insisted on driving me back to my van. They assured me that I would not be left to face that treacherous road alone again. Their comforting presence provided a stark contrast to the chilling encounter I had just escaped. As we approached the spot where my van had broken down, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The setting sun cast long shadows, and the memory of that sinister man lingered in the back of my mind. I was relieved when we finally reached my vehicle, but anxiety still gripped me. Ed, a sturdy man with a graying beard, offered to take a look at the van. He tinkered under the hood while Mary, a gentle soul with a soothing voice, tried to keep my spirits up with stories of their own adventures on the road. It was a welcome distraction from the eerie events that had transpired. After a few moments, Ed emerged from beneath the van, his hands smeared with grease but a triumphant smile on his face. He had managed to get the engine running again, a testament to his mechanical prowess. With the van now operational, my heart lightened. Ed and Mary refused any payment, insisting that helping a fellow traveler was payment enough. They bid me farewell, offering warm wishes for the rest of my journey. As I watched their car disappear into the distance, I couldn't help but feel a profound sense of gratitude. I had narrowly escaped a sinister fate, thanks to the kindness of strangers. It was a lesson in the unpredictability of the road and the importance of trusting one's instincts. With the engine humming once more, I continued my journey, vowing to stay vigilant and avoid any more encounters with the unknown. The sun had set, and the stars began to twinkle overhead, casting a comforting glow on the winding road ahead. The horrors of that day would stay with me, a chilling reminder of the darkness that could lurk in the most unexpected places. Yet, I pressed on, determined to reach my destination and put this terrifying ordeal behind me.